or someone you love negatively impacted by a micromanager? You may be entitled to damages and compensation. Okay. Jokes aside, we all know a micromanager. Heck, we may even struggle with micromanagement ourselves. So today, we're going to learn and adjust. Let's dive in on a topic I've seen wreck teams time and time again. Micromanagement occurs when a leader excessively controls or closely observes the work of their employees, often to the point of limiting their autonomy. When you micromanage, you're not just controlling the work, you're stifling the growth and potential of your team. Several factors can cause a leader to micromanage. The first is lack of trust. Leaders who micromanage often struggle with trusting their team members' abilities and judgment. Is it the employee's responsibility to make their leader trust them? Well, trust builds over time, as we all know. In reality, it's a rare situation that an employee is the individual to blame because of the lack of trust. So why does a leader struggle with trust? Many times it's because of a previous experience. Negative past experiences with employees might lead to a lack of trust. Negative past experiences with romantic partners, parents, siblings. The list goes on, you get my point. As I've mentioned in previous episodes, we bring our past love wounds, if you will, into our current situations. And if we haven't dealt with them, they can get messy and they can haunt us and ultimately damage our relationships with others. Leaders can also lack trust because of the fear of failure. Concerns about project failure or errors can make leaders reluctant to delegate responsibilities. So the first reason folks struggle with this is because of previous experiences, lack of trust through there. Second reason is perfectionism. Leaders with perfectionistic tendencies may micromanage to ensure that every detail meets their high standards. Why do some leaders struggle with this? One reason could be their high standards. So leaders who set very high standards for quality work may feel that only their direct oversight can ensure these standards are met. They may also have a fear of imperfection. Fear that mistakes will reflect poorly on them or their organization, and that can drive micromanagement. I worked with a colleague before who was a CEO. He had paralysis by analysis worse than anyone else I knew. Ultimately, this trait about him led to our relationship's demise as he used me as a shield when it came to decision making, meaning he seemed to not be able to make a decision on his own. It felt like to me, based off of my years of relationship with him, it was because of his perfectionism. So I would make a decision, he would support it, and then if anyone would get upset about the decision, he would blame me. I knew why he was doing it, but as the CEO, there was no excuse. We must challenge ourselves to get healthier. Okay, next is the leader may have a lack of delegation skills. Inexperienced or ineffective delegation skills many times leads to micromanagement. How does this happen? For starters, we all know many leaders who become leaders because they are good at their job, but that doesn't mean that they are good at leading people or leading projects. Leaders may not know how to effectively delegate tasks or communicate expectations. And the leader may feel insecure about their ability to manage without being involved in every detail. Similar to lack of delegation skills, or in the same vein, is inadequate training or experience. Leaders who lack training or experience in managing teams might resort to micromanagement. Many of us have seen this. This happens oftentimes because of the limited management experience that they have. So new or inexperienced leaders may not know how to manage effectively without closely overseeing the work. Another reason could be inefficient training. Lack of formal training and management practices can lead to a reliance on micromanagement. The leader may micromanage because they are in a high-pressure situation or under a lot of stress. High-pressure environments or personal stress can lead leaders to micromanage as a way to maintain control. Leaders under significant pressure to achieve results may micromanage to ensure every aspect is handled correctly in their eyes. And we all know stress from outside the workplace can manifest in controlling behaviors at work. The organizational culture may also be to blame. The broader organizational culture can definitely influence micromanagement behaviors. If there's a top-down culture and the executive level values close oversight and control, leaders may adopt similar practices. There may also be a lack of support from the executive level. An organizational environment that lacks support from managers can lead them to micromanage to compensate for perceived deficiencies. Another factor causing a leader to micromanage can be poor communication. If leaders don't communicate their expectations, they may micromanage to ensure that tasks are completed as desired. I preach on clarity and communication in nearly every episode, but that's because it heals so many organizational issues or stops them before they start. Inadequate feedback mechanisms can result in leaders feeling the need to closely oversee work. Next is personal insecurity or self-doubt. Leaders who lack confidence in their own abilities or the abilities of their team may micromanage to compensate. Micromanagement is a sign of insecurity in leadership. It's about controlling every aspect because of a lack of trust in others. Leaders who doubt their own decision-making skills may overcompensate by controlling every aspect at work. I've mentioned this book in the past on a previous episode, but if you haven't read The Speed of Trust by Stephen M. R. Covey, he has several great practical tools that help with trust in an organization, but it all starts with self-trust. I'll link the book in the show notes. I highly recommend you take the self-assessment to see where you land. You may be surprised by the results. Leaders also experience a fear of judgment just like anyone else. Concerns about being judged by others for the quality of work can lead to micromanagement. Another reason some leaders micromanage is something all of us struggle with in life, and that's a desire for control. Some leaders may have a fundamental need for control, leading them to micromanage tasks and decisions. Other than just wanting control or having a need for it, if a leader feels a lack of control over outcomes, this can also drive them to micromanage. And we can't forget the leaders who aren't treated with respect in their personal lives, who flex for control in the workplace. Bless us all in those situations. Last on my list for today on why leaders sometimes micromanage is inadequate systems or processes. A lack of effective systems or processes can lead leaders to micromanage as a workaround for operational inefficiencies. Leaders may micromanage if they perceive that existing processes or systems are inefficient or unreliable. This especially can occur if a new leader is stepping in, as there may be some kind of assumption that the employees there previously were incapable of establishing an effective process. It can create a bit of an unhealthy savior complex. Or there may be a lack of automation. Absence of automated tools for tracking and managing work can result in increased oversight by leaders. So depending on the situation, many of us may be micromanaging from time to time. Micromanagement often stems from a combination of personal insecurities, lack of trust, organizational culture, and insufficient delegation skills. Addressing these root causes requires a thoughtful approach, including developing trust in team members, improving delegation practices, enhancing communication, and creating supportive systems. So, to become less of a micromanager, a leader can implement the following 3 quick and effective strategies that I've developed. Number 1, delegate clearly and effectively. Delegating tasks with clear instructions and expectations allows team members to work independently and with confidence. We need to do a couple of things here. 1, define responsibilities by clearly outlining the tasks, goals, and deadlines when assigning responsibilities. And then next, provide resources. Ensure team members have the resources, tools, and information needed to complete their tasks. Lastly, set expectations. Communicate the expected outcomes and provide any necessary guidelines without dictating every step. So what are the benefits of delegating clearly and effectively? Number 1, it empowers employees. Delegation fosters autonomy and builds trust in team members' abilities, and you're going to see their confidence grow as well. Speaking of, the second thing is boosting confidence. So team members feel more confident and valued, which can enhance their performance and job satisfaction. And we've talked before that higher level of job satisfaction means higher level of engagement, which means higher productivity. And then the third thing it does, it reduces overlap. So it clarifies roles and responsibilities, reducing the need for close oversight. Okay, second thing we can do, implement regular check-ins instead of constant oversight. Regular check-ins provide a structured way to monitor progress without micromanaging daily activities. So what practical actions does this include? Number 1, schedule the check-ins. Set up periodic meetings for updates to review progress, discuss any issues, and provide support. Number 2, focus on outcomes. So during the check-ins, focus on the results and overall progress rather than every detail of how the tasks are performed. Number 3, encourage self-reporting. So ask team members to report on their progress and any challenges they face, promoting accountability and self-management. So what benefits will we see by doing this? Number 1, we'll still be able to maintain oversight. We'll ensure that projects are on track without the need for that constant monitoring. The second thing we'll get as a benefit is encouraging communication. This provides opportunities for open dialogue and feedback, fostering enhanced collaboration. And then the third thing we'll see is a reduction in stress, which we all want. This alleviates the stress on both leaders and employees by minimizing direct control and allowing for more autonomy. Okay, the third practical strategy we can put in place is focus on providing support and development. Supporting and developing team members helps them grow and perform effectively, reducing the need for micromanagement. So what practical actions does this include? 3 things. First, we want to offer training. So provide training and resources to help employees build their skills and confidence. Second, we need to mentor and coach. Act as a mentor or coach to guide the employees in their roles and develop them without taking over their tasks. It takes a little more time on the upfront, but it's so much better in the long term. And then the third thing we need to do is create a supportive environment. Foster an environment where employees feel comfortable seeking help and sharing ideas. Okay, so we're focusing on providing support and development. What benefits will we see from doing this? We will see skill development. So investing in employees' development equips them to handle tasks more independently. It also strengthens relationships. It enhances relationships between leaders and team members through supportive interactions. And lastly, it promotes growth. It encourages continuous improvement and personal growth, reducing dependency on micromanagement. By delegating tasks with clear expectations, implementing regular check-ins, and focusing on support and development, leaders can effectively reduce micromanagement. These strategies empower employees, improve overall team performance, and create a more positive and productive work environment. Managing people is tough, I understand, but when we are in a leadership position, we are called to do the work. And micromanagement is the art of making employees feel like they're doing nothing right while robbing them of their motivation and creativity. And that's the last thing that we want to do. So let's think about where we land on our scale of micromanager. So are we a micromanager? Are we only situationally a micromanager, or are we like completely letting go of the reins? That's a separate episode. But where do you rate yourself? And then maybe consider implementing 1, 2, or 3 of the strategies that I mentioned and just see how your team members respond. Till next time.